In the year 1311 before the Common Era, the Jewish people were poised to enter the land of Israel. But before entering, they sent spies ahead to ensure it was safe. When 10 of the 12 spies returned with a negative report, the Jewish people took it to heart and cried all through the night. The Almighty then spoke, saying, "Because you have cried this meaningless cry, I will give you a reason to cry on this day." This marked the first Tisha B'Av, which to this day is still observed on the 9th day of the Hebrew month of Av. After this, the Jewish people spent 40 long years in the desert, and for 40 long years they watched helplessly as their loved ones perished on each passing Tisha B'Av. Finally, in the year 1272 BCE, the Jewish people entered the land of Israel. Some 400 years passed and they built their temple, which stood for centuries, only to be destroyed 410 years later by the Babylonians. It was the year 422 BCE when the temple fell, on the very day of Tisha B'Av. The Jews retreated into exile for 70 years and then returned to build a second temple. This temple stood for 420 years before the Romans destroyed it, an event that took place in the year 70 CE, on the very day of Tisha B'Av. The Jews then galvanized and mounted a rebellion that routed the Romans out of Israel. Alas, the victory was short-lived, as the Romans surged back into Israel with a vengeance for blood, leaving nearly 1 million Jews slaughtered in their wake. And Beitar, the stronghold of the Jewish rebellion, was destroyed on the very day of Tisha B'Av. In the aftermath of war, the battles waged on. Before long, the Romans resolved to forever destroy the Jewish people's connection to their land of Israel. In their efforts, the Romans plowed over the Temple Mount on the very day of Tisha B'Av. Jews would later be driven out of England in the year 1290 and out of Spain in 1492, both times on the very day of Tisha B'Av. And yet another tragedy would fall on this day, the start of World War I, marking the beginning of the end for Jews in Europe. History has proven that the Jewish people have reason to cry on this day. Yet, even as this part of our history is fulfilled, we yearn in earnest for the day when the bookend also comes true and the third temple is built. Until then, we lament and consider the resilience of our people on this very day of Tisha B'Av.